I'm Andrea Jones, and today we are talking about structure within Execute Agility. So again, Execute Agility is your organization's ability to execute your most important projects consistently over time. There are 4 pillars in Execute Agility, and we've already talked about 3 of them. We've talked about alignment, we've talked about the what people are doing, knowing why that's the important thing to do, when, right now, this quarter, and who is responsible as a sponsor, project manager, and the team. We talked about available time, all 3 of those different roles, and what it takes to do that project work on top of their normal day job to get you from here to there. Talked about competence and their technical skills so that they can definitely get that work done and what it means to make sure that's true. And now we're going to talk about structure, because if you've got all 3 of these, you still don't want your team wasting time on how to get organized and who's doing what and roles, responsibilities, and tracking those tasks and tracking their results and all of those things. Let's put in a quick structure, a lightweight, agile structure that gives you all the results you need with none of the overhead burden you don't, okay? So here's what that means to us. Remember, you prioritize. Here's your list. You've got project 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc., etc. You figured out why you're doing what you're doing. You've got some criteria. These are all highs. You're doing this, and you're doing this, let's just say, okay? Now you know who the sponsor is, the project manager is, who the team is for each of these things. They all have the amount of time that's necessary to do this work, about 10 hours a week for the project manager and 5 to 10 for the team, and sponsor 0 to 2. They're competent to do it, or they've got enough time or motivation to figure out how to do the work. So let's pull the team together. Okay, let's call this project 1. And here's what we do. We kick off with a planning meeting. The project manager says, hey, guys, we got to get this work done. This is the definition of done, what we're trying to get done at the end of this quarter, right? Q end, definition of done. And in order to get there, what are the tasks required? So they start listing their tasks. And with the project manager, they're facilitating, okay, what's like the first task, the second, let's put them in sequence, right? And we may not know every single discrete task to last us an entire quarter, that's 12 weeks, but all we really need to worry about is the next 2 weeks, because we're going to do a sprint. So let's say we've got our tasks out to N, and the team is now saying, well, I think we can do these 10, right? And you've got person A, person B, person A, C, B, whatever. They're specifically allocated to each person. And this team says they can do this. They commit to those tasks in the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks only. We call it a sprint. Every day, 15 minutes virtually, so it's real quick. Team gets together, and the project manager said, hey, those 10 tasks, what did you get done yesterday? What are you doing today? And do you have any roadblocks or barriers to getting that work done? Work accelerates at the pace you meet. This is just the way it is with cross-functional, especially teams. That means people that are coming from accounting and procurement and sales or operations, different groups. They need one person in charge, that's the project manager, so they know who's organizing the show here. And they can then say, all right, well, I got this done, but I need to meet with so-and-so, or I was on hold with such and such when I called the vendor, or whatever. And they can bring up any escalations. The project manager will then say, great, I can help you with some of those, or maybe I'm escalating something to the sponsor, but 15 minutes tops. If it needs to go over that, then the project manager will call a secondary conversation with only the relevant people. Okay, so every 2 weeks, let's say in this case, we said we committed to 10 things and they got 8 done. That means that they were 80% accurate. If they committed to 10 and they got 12 done, they were still around 80% accurate. You really want to be accurate so that your company can allocate the amount of work or the definition of done that makes sense. This will get better over time, and that's 100% okay. But here you know exactly what things weren't done. And after you showcase this every 2 weeks in a 30-minute review, which is again online, Project manager puts together the review. It's very straightforward. Everybody just says, I got this done, I got that done. Here's the problems I encountered and what we're going to put back on our list or our backlog for next sprint. The sponsor watches this, the team's there, the project manager's there, and anybody else that maybe is peers of the team or other managers, right? That way, it's a training session. Every 2 weeks, you get some things done, and now everybody sees exactly what's been done and what they need to do about it too. It's just an inherent communication channel and a training management system as well. It's actually super great for bringing people together and creating camaraderie. Tends to really go well. Then we kick out everybody but the team and the PM, kick out even the sponsor, and they do what we call a retro or retrospective. And in this conversation, this is super important because what they say is, hey, we got 8 things done. How can we do better next time, right? Or we got 12 things done. How can we be more accurate? Should we commit to more next time around? So in the retro, they talk about how to improve the process itself. In that way, it gets better every time. And there's no expectation of perfection. That way people don't feel like they're being held to some unattainable measure. But they themselves get to say, well, we could do this, we could try that. And they commit also to some improvements. And then they go back to their planning. Okay, now we've gotten these 8 things done. We're going to keep going on our list, out to whatever. They might have to add some things, even insert or resequence. Then they commit to the next set of things. And starting the next week, for 2 more weeks, they do it again. They do the review again. They do the retrospective again. They do improvements again, over and over until the end of the quarter. And they hopefully are at the definition of done. But if they're not, we know exactly what still needs to be done. We've got a list of improvements to try and be better. We've been escalating any problems over time so that we are getting better and better over time. And soon enough, you'll find you can accelerate your pace and you can take on more things at the same time, or you can accelerate the amount of work that's being done in a definition of done within an individual quarter. And this is how this thing compounds in perpetuity. So exciting. The last thing I really, really need to touch on here is this project management role. Said this before. The project management role is about 8 to 10 hours per project. That means one project manager can handle about 2 in half-time hours. You could get someone with an amazing experience and education and background, a terrific project manager, maybe even a former consultant or a stay-at-home mom or someone who's quasi-retired that you think still has tons to offer, super savvy. They could run these projects in part-time hours for you. You can insource that person. You don't have to get someone brand new. And now you have your own little fractional project management office using Execute Agility in your own company. I couldn't be more excited about this. This is what my consulting firm has done for almost 20 years. And we are now teaching other people how to do it themselves. All right. We'll talk about more of that a little bit in an overview wrap up. But thank you so much for listening to this structure conversation.